But now Pylades, shaking his long-shadowed spear, was charging Asteropaeus, mad to cut him down. Pelagon's son, himself the son of the Axius River, broad and fast, and Achaesomenes' eldest daughter, Parabeia, loved by the deep swirling stream. Achilles went for Asteropaeus, fresh from the ford, braced to face him there, and brandishing 2 spears. And as Xanus filled the Trojan's heart with courage, the river, seething for all the youths Achilles slaughtered, chopped to bits in its tide without a twinge of pity, closing against each other. Just about in range, the magnificent runner Achilles opened up. "Who on earth are you? Where do you hail from? You, with the gall to go against my onslaught? Pity the ones whose son stands up to me in war." But the noble son of Pelagon answered firmly, "High-hearted son of Peleus, why ask about my birth? My birth? I come from Axius' broad currents. Axius floods the land with the clearest stream on earth, and Axius fathered the famous spearman Pelagon. Men say I am his son. Now on with it. Great Pylades, let us fight." Menacing so, as brilliant Achilles raised the Pelian ash spear, but the fighting Asteropaeus, quick, ambidextrous, hurled both spears at once. One shaft hit the shield, no breakthrough, the shaft could not smash through. The gold blocked it, forged in the god's gift. But the other grazed Achilles' strong right arm, and dark blood gushed as the spear shot past his back, stabbing the earth hard, still lusting to sink in the flesh. But next, Achilles, burning to cut down the Asteropaeus, hurled his ashen shaft. It flew straight as a die, but a clean miss. It struck the river's high bank, and half the length of the lance stuck deep in the soil. So Achilles, drawing the sharp sword at his hip, sprang at the man in rage as he tried to wrench Pylades' spear from the bank. But his grip failed. 3 times he tried to wrench it free, tugging madly. Thrice gave up the struggle. The 4th, with all his might, he fought to bend Aeaces' shaft and break it off. But before it budged, the hero was all over him, slashing out his life, slitting his belly open, and scooping slice at the navel, and all his bowels spilled out on the ground. Darkness swirled his eyes as he gasped his breath away. And trampling his chest, Achilles tore his gear off, glorying over him now. "Lie there with the dead. Punishing work, you see, to fight the sons of invincible Cronus' son, even sprung from a river as you are. You claimed your birth from a river's broad stream. Well, I can boast my birth from powerful Zeus himself. And as Zeus is stronger than rivers surging out to sea, so the breed of Zeus is stronger than any streams. Here is a great river flowing past you. Look, what help can he give you? None. Nothing can fight the son of Cronus, Zeus. Not even Alcaloüs, king of rivers, vies with Zeus. Not even the overpowering ocean's huge high tides, the source of all the rivers and all the seas on earth, and all springs and all deep wells, all flow from the ocean, but even the ocean shrinks from the mighty Father's bolt when terrible thunder crashes down the skies." With that, Achilles pulled his bronze spear from the river bluff and left him there. The Trojan's life slashed out, sprawled in the sand, drenched by the black tide. Eels and fish, the corpse's frenzied attendants, ripping into him, nibbling kidney fat away. But Achilles went for Paeonians, helmets plumed, still running in panic along the river's rapids. Once they saw their finest fall in the onslaught, beaten down by Pelides' hands and hacking sword. He killed, in a blur of kills, Thessailicus, Myton, Astypolus, Nisus, Thrasius, Aeneas, and the Philistes. Still more Paeonian men the runner would have killed if the swirling river had not risen, crying out in fury, taking a man's shape, its voice breaking out of a whirlpool. Stop, Achilles! Greater than any man on earth, greater in outrage too, for the gods themselves are always at your side. But if Zeus allows you to kill off all the Trojans, drive them out of my depths at least, I ask you. Out on the plain, and do your butchery there. All my lovely rapids are crowned with corpses now. No channel in sight to sweep my currents out to sacred sea. I'm choked with corpses, and still you slaughter more. You blot out more. Leave me alone. Have done. Captain of armies, I am filled with horror. And the breakneck runner only paused to answer, so be it, Scamander, spring of Zeus, as you command. But I won't stop killing these overweening Trojans, not till I've packed them in their walls and tested Hector. Strength against strength. He kills me, or I kill him. Down on the Trojan front, he swept like something superhuman. And now, from his deep whirls, the river roared to Phoebus. Disgrace, god of the silver bow and born of Zeus, you throw to the winds the will of Cronus' son. Time and again, Zeus gave you strict commands. Stand by the Trojan ranks and save their lives till the sun goes down at last and darkness shrouds the ploughlands right with grain. When he heard that, Achilles, the famous spearman, leaping down from the bluff, plunged in the river's heart, and the river charged against him, churning, surging, all the rapids rising in white fury, and drove the mass of corpses, choking tight his channel. The wreck Achilles killed, Scamander heaved them up, and bellowing like a bull, the river flung them out on the dry land, but saved the living, hiding them down the fresh, clear pools of his thundering, whirling current, but thrashing over Achilles' shoulder, raised a killer wave. The tremendous thrust of it slammed against his shield, and he staggered, lost his footing. His arms flung out for a tall, strong elm. He clung out, but it came up by the roots, toppling down, ripping away the whole cliff, blocking the stream with a tangled snarl of branches, crashing into it full length to dam the river bank to bank. Bursting up from a whirlpool, Achilles dashed for the plain, his feet flying in terror, but the great god would not let up, hurtling against him, Scamander looming into a murderous breaker, dark over him, dead set on stopping the brilliant Achilles' rampage here, and thrusting disaster off the struggling Trojan force. But the hero sprang away, foul of the hard-flung spear, swooping fast as the black eagle, the marauding bird, but the strongest and the swiftest bird that flies the sky. On he streaked, and the bronze rang out against his chest, clashing grimly. Slipping out from under the wave, he fled with the river rolling on behind him, roaring huge, as a farmhand runs a ditch from a dark spring, sluicing the gushing stream through plants and gardens, swinging his mattock to knock the clods out down the chute, and the water rushes on, tearing the pebbles loose, and what began as a trickle hits a quick slope, and down it goes, outstripping the man who guides it. So the relentless tide kept overtaking Achilles. Yes, for all his speed, gods are stronger than men. Again and again, The brilliant, swift Achilles whirled, trying to stand and fight the river man to man and see if all the immortal gods who rule the vaulting skies were after him, putting him to rout. Again and again the might crest of the river, fed by the rains out of Zeus, came battering down his shoulders, down from high above, but Achilles kept on leaping higher, desperate now, as the river kept on dragging down his knees, lunging under him, cutting the ground from underneath his legs. Pelides groaned, scanning the arching, blank sky. Father Zeus, to think in all my misery, not one god can bring himself to rescue me from this river. Then I'd face my fate. And no god on high, none is to blame so much as my dear mother. How she lied. She beguiled me. She promised me I'd die beneath the walls of the armored Trojans, cut down in blood by Apollo's whipping arrows. I wish Hector had killed me. The best man bred in Troy. The killer, a hero then, and a hero, too, the man whose corpse he stripped. Now look what a wretched death I'm doomed to suffer, trapped in this monstrous river like some boy, some pig boy swept away, trying to ford a winter torrent in a storm. But Achilles rampaged on, with the gods' strong command, on, breakneck on, and the river could not stop him, not for all its reach and tide race, not with Athena pumping enormous strength deep down Achilles' heart. But the Xanthus River would not slack his fury either. He raged at Achilles all the more. He marshalled up a mountainous ridge of water, roaring out, Simois, oh dear brother, rise! Both of us rush together to halt this mortal's onslaught. At any moment he'll storm King Priam's mighty stronghold down. The Trojans can't stand up to the man in battle. Beat him quickly. Deluge all your channels from all your gushing springs, muster all your torments, raise up a tremendous wave, rumbling, booming with timber, boulders crashing. We'll stop this wild man in his tracks, lording it in his power now, and raging like some god. Neither his strength nor splendid build can save him. Not now, I tell you. Not all that glorious armor. Now, somewhere under our floods, that gear will sink, immersed deep in slime. And I'll roil his body round in sand and gravel, tons of spills of silt. Achaeans will never know where to find his bones. Never collect them now. I'll bury that man so deep in mud and rocks. That's where his grave mound will be piled. And then no need in the world to raise his barrow high when comrades come to give him royal rights. So he vaunted, rearing against Achilles, seething, heaving up in fury, thundering out now foam and blood and corpses. The blood-red crest of the river, swelled by Zeus, came arching higher, ready to tear Pelides down. But Hera, struck with fear for Achilles, screamed out, dreading he might be swept away by the giant churning river, and quickly cried to the god of fire, our own dear son, to arms, my child, god of the crooked legs. You are the one we'd thought a worthy match for the whirling river Xanthus. Quick, rescue Achilles, explode a burst of fire. I'll drive the west and south winds white with clouds and sweep in from the open seas a tearing gale to sear the Trojan bodies and gear, and spread your lethal flames, and you make for the Xanthus banks and burn the trees, hurl the stream itself into conflagration. Not for a moment let him turn you back with his winning words or threats. Never abate your fury, not till I let loose my shout. Then halt your withering fire. Hera's command, and Hephaestus launched his grim, inhuman blaze. First he shot into flames and buried the plain, ignited hordes of corpses, squads Achilles slaughtered. He scorched the whole plan, and the shining river shrank. The plain was parched, and the god of fire devoured all the dead. Then, blazing in all his glory, veered for the river, an inferno. The elms burned, the willows and tamarisks burned, and the lotus burned, and the galingale and reeds and rushes, all that flourished along the running river's lush banks. And the eels writhed, and the fish in the whirlpools leapt high, breaking the surface left and right in a sheen of fire. Gasping under the master smith, Hephaestus' blast. And now the river's strength was burning out. He panted the god's name. Hephaestus, stop! Not a single god can stand up against you. No, not I can fight such fire, such fury. Hold your attack! Stop! Brilliant Achilles can drive them out of Ilium now. What's this war to me? Why should I help Troy? He screamed in flames, his clear currents bubbling up like a cauldron whipped by crackling fire as it melts down the lard of a fat swine, splattering up around the rim, dry logs blazing under it, lashing it to the boil. So the river burned. His clear currents seethed and lost all will to flow. He stopped, overwhelmed by the torrid blast of the master craftsman, god of fire. And Xanthus cried to Hera, pouring out his heart in a flood of supplication. "Oh, Hera, why? Why does your son attack me, whip my waters more than all the others? Why? What have I done to you? Nothing beside those other powers, all who rushed to defend the Trojan armies. Oh, I'll stop if that is your command. But let your son stop too. I'll swear once more never to drive the fatal day away from the Trojans, not even when all Troy burns in the ramping flames, when the warring sons of Achaea burn her down." And Hera heard him, the radiant, white-armed goddess. She quickly cried to the god of fire, her own dear son, "Hephaestus, stop, stop, my glorious, blazing boy. It's not right to batter another deathless god, not for the sake of these mortals." She ceased, and the god of fire quenched his grim, inhuman blaze, and back in its channel ran the river's glistening tides. And now, with the strength of Xanthus beaten down, the two called off their battle. Hera held them back, still enraged as she was.